Welcome to the Find the Way podcast. In this show, we will try to explore what is happening in emerging markets and how entrepreneurs, investors, and communities are simply finding the way to make phenomenal things happen, regardless how volatile the environment may sometimes seem. Very nice. So, hey, would you be able to give a little of the things you have been working on in so many different fields within Mexico? You're both from Mexico. Wide variety of industries where you're involved. You're both investing. You have been both operating. Can you share brief things to the audience who are mainly coming from outside of Latin America that what are all the things that you're involved? Alejandra, maybe you want to start.
Of course. My name is Alejandra Rios. I've been, well, I'm born and raised in Mexico City. I am involved in so many things, I don't know where to start. So I'll just start with whatever comes first. So I am
Comes to your
actually
mind.
I'm the CEO and the part owner of the um, catering and food service company in Mexico City that my father founded. So in Mexico, still most of the big companies are family businesses, like in the rest of Latam. So I'm part of this family business, and now I've been managing it for 5 years, trying to grow it, make it more efficient, and keep the business going and innovating. I am also an investor, an active investor in the startup world in Mexico in in two different ways. I am actually an investor in several venture capital funds uh, in Mexico City and Latam. One of it is 500 startups, Amplifica Capital, that has a very gender focused initiative, and SFA, Solifield Ventures. So these are three of the funds that I invest in. And I've also done a couple of angel investments myself. And then that leads me to my other part of investing that
So
is
like that was not enough. So that
no,
now it comes to other part of your professional career. Are you sure that you don't have a similar type of time machine that Hermione had in Harry Potter that she was able to go enough classes? I don't know how you manage your time with this, but okay, keep going, keep going.
it's not that hard. I get it done. I am I am also an investor. I started my own fund, venture capital fund called Meraki Ventures. Um, and with this one, I invest in specifically CPG products and direct to consumer companies, and in the service economy also, a little bit of tech as well. So I'm a fund manager, and I also am a Shark Tank investor. So I am part of the investors of the panel of sharks in Shark Tank Mexico. I've been there for the past 3 years, being a part of this program where we actually do invest. We make deals with entrepreneurs that come pitch us in the program and invest in all of these types of companies. And I'm a very active investor. I try to really be involved in the development of the business, in growing the business, and in just connecting the business to whatever they need at the time. And with this, I have in total 22 investments um, through these different through my fund and my angel investors investments.
Look
And
at
that's
that.
pretty
So do
much
you sleep? Do you
yes.
sleep at all?
I sleep a lot of
Conf-
hours, more
you
than you
sleep a
can
lot of hours.
imagine,
So how many hours?
like 9 or 8 hours.
That's beautiful. No, no es posible.
Yes,
Look at that.
you
Look
can
at
do
that.
everything. You just have to have the right
That's
people
amazing.
with you.
Agreed on that. And then to Claudio, like Claudio, you have done so many things as well and impressive things that you're working on. But can you share a little bit what is going
Yeah,
on with your life?
my name is Claudio Schlegel. I was born in Switzerland, but pretty much been living all my life in Mexico, except some 4 years in Argentina, a year and a half in Madrid while doing my MBA, uh, and yeah, a couple of months in London. Basically, I met Ale, and we were both studying at Tec de Monterrey, so we know each other a long time ago. And
Look at that.
my first investment was 2010 in a microfinance firm that a very good friend of mine from elementary school founded back then, called Podemos Progresar. I actually told Fernando, hey, you have to meet Ale. She was working back then in Alsea, I believe. And I said, we have to bring her over. It was impossible. She had already her plan very set up and very focused. So it, it was a miss for us back then. But I mean, it's great that things have worked out and we've done things together right now as the Positive Foods. It's an investment that we have together. I have basically two things. I have like more traditional investments like Podemos Progresar, Finache, which are financial entities, and I've been invested for almost over 10 years average in those businesses. And then I really enjoy venture capital backed businesses. So what I've done there is I've invested in 6 funds LP, Life Capital, Cometa, Platanus Ventures, Ventures, Tux Capital, BFF, and I have invested as an angel in over 20 companies myself.
Goodness. So
so
at least
guys-
some of them have gone pretty well because you're still playing the game. So it's like you have not lost all of your money. So it's like you might know at least a little bit what you're doing. So that's good for the show for today.
I hope so. So it's still an educated bet, you know?
Sure. Balti, you had something over there?
Yeah, so I actually wanted to start with a question that you guys are both investing in startups in the tech ecosystem, and it's a very risky game. Some may say that you're burning your cash in this game because it's very complex. How do you approach risk, or what are your thoughts behind risk in this scenario?
For me, it's a matter of diversity, diversifying my investments. So that's why I kind of do my thing by being an LP in some funds where I trust the process, I trust their pipeline generation, and I trust their investment thesis. And it is a bet. No, I am fully aware that whatever I invest and how I approach investments is thinking that yes, everything that I invest, I can lose it. And I'm not afraid to lose it. No, I wish I won't, but I'm not afraid to do it. So I kind of pick the candidates that I think will lead me to a good return. And in terms of my investments, the ones that I do personally, what I try to do is actually also diversify. Try to pick from different industries, from different track records, from different backgrounds, and I do view it as a bet, but it's an educated bet. That's what I like to think, and it's also a long-term investment. So I don't want to see my money return the 3 or 5 years even. I view these investments as a 10-year investment horizon.
And Claudio?
Yeah, I agree with Ale. For me, it's also a educated bet or educated investment, kind of flip coin, where I know I can lose all that money. And knowing that I can lose it all, my thinking is, okay, if I lose it, I don't have to take my kids out of school. I don't have to move back with my parents or just kind of drastically change my lifestyle. Uh, so that's the first thing. Then also I try to be very diversified in terms of the number of startups that I invest in. That's why I have over 20, because I believe that probably it's going to be not even a Pareto, but 10% will give me the return of the fund or of my investment, plus the gain that will allow me to keep investing. And the other ones are going to be either maybe just debt or like a friend told me, like walking zombies in the Condesa where they keep on living off the bootstrapping that they're on, but as an investor, you won't see a return.
Yeah.
And the second thing I figured out also is that if you invest in a very early stage, like Ali and myself do, you need to have certain control of what's happening with the company when bad times arrive. So rather than just praying that entrepreneurs will be able to solve the problem, you have to be that support where they can come to you and ask for advice, for a network connection that will help them, I don't know, get a loan or get us a deal that will allow them to keep afloat while they'll still figure out what the next steps are. So when I invest, I actually try to see if there's a match between myself and the founders in terms of ideology, in terms of just good communication, and if what the startup is trying to achieve is something that I can, given my network and my advice, help them with.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that we have now, if we focus a little bit on the educated bet that you both are emphasizing over here, we have talked a lot with this about Bauti and multiple other entrepreneurs all around the world, but now specifically in the past 12 months in Latin America. Are you really educating yourself before you're making the bet? Or is it going to be only a gut feeling that, hey, you like this girl or boy who's making something cool, and then you think that, oh, this is amazing. Everybody can be great at selling. So what do you really mean by an educated bet? Do you have a process behind it? Or is this is something that this looks sexy, this feels amazing, we got to go in?
I think it happens both ways, no? I mean, during my investment time, I've had definitely both types of investments. I would say that right now I try always to have a process behind it, which I can talk about or let Claudio talk about it more. But obviously have a process. But what I think of as the most important factor before I invest is, do I have, and this is what Claudio was saying in the second part of his answer, is what can I bring to the table for this investment? And that's a lot of my decision making is based on that. Is, can I actually help this company grow, have better unit economics, have better connections, sell more, uh, be more efficient, or like go through their journey uh, better and faster and easier, or not. So sometimes I see some of these investments that are really sexy and that I see that I can make a good return and whatever. But if I can't really help in any way, or I won't be able to help in a moment of um, stress or downturn or whatever, then I won't invest, because then I think that I become a passive investor. And one of my very like focused things that I do when I invest is that I want to be an active investor. And if I don't have the capabilities or the knowledge or the experience to be an active investor, because I don't know the industry, I don't know the business model or whatever, then I don't invest. Those kinds of investments, I'm kind of exposed to those as an LP in other funds. But the investments that I make myself, I will only make if I can add something to the table and if I can help if things get rough.
In a way that if like I see that you have a consensus of this, that what you're aligned with your thinking of this, but if you will be able to dive deeper into then the process that you were talking about over there, and makes very clear that both of you have this, you're evaluating your opportunities in a way that, can you contribute, can you elevate the companies one way or another. But then when you're doing this process and you're evaluating these things, it's like what the process over there If we now separate it into two different categories, you as an LP and then you as an angel or making direct investments. Claudio, if you were to be able to start a little bit over there, and especially from an LP point of view, what type of process you really have there, more educated bets?
In terms of an LP, it's just trusting the partners that are running the fund, kind of seeing their track records and their critical thinking process. So you can either match and identify with them and help them out somehow, but it's not as active for me as it is with the angel investments that I do. And just adding on what Alan was saying, what I try to do is, and this is kind of an analogy, when you hire a bodyguard, pretty much every bodyguard will tell you he's able to kick some ass. He's able to defend himself. He's able to go in a street fight and be the winner. And you might see him like tall, buff, and all like gym muscly. But what you really want to see is if you put him on a street fight, how it's going to respond, and if he gets knocked out by the first punch he gets, then you're in trouble. So what I try to do with the founders as well is,
so you go fight with them. You're going to
throw
put
them
them in the ring. Because I saw on your WhatsApp picture that Claudio, you definitely, for the audience, Claudio did not need a bodyguard. He can kick some ass, like for real, like when he goes into. So your background and so that's your approach. You put them into the ring and you put them in MMA ring and you see that how they can handle you. I think that's your process.
Exactly. So let's say they're doing something for the catering industry, where they're innovating something, and it makes sense to me. And what they're telling me has a logic behind it. And so I'll just give Ali a call, ask Ali and her team if I can make an introduction, and see how they go through that process and what the feedback is. I don't want to like push Ali to make a decision just because we have a friendship and a partnership. I really want to see if what they're proposing will add value to Ali and her company. And that won't cost me anything. And I will see them in action and what they actually perfect, where their opportunities are, and how we can work together to make the product even better. And at the end, I think still Latin America has a very small network of people that run, like I was saying, the family-owned businesses that are going to become or are trying to be the most of the startup clients or suppliers. So you can test that fairly easy, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So you're forcing them into the arena. Pretty nice.
Exactly. And see how they respond.
Now I see what you did to me the other day when you brought some entrepreneurs pitching their business. I should have been
Exactly.
tougher on them. I'm going to be super nice.
So you have this good cop and bad cop.
Yeah. So what I did as an LP looking for funds to invest is I interviewed a bunch of them. I talked to some of their entrepreneurs who they've financed and they've invested in, and how their relationship is, how their approach is, how they actually selected them as an investment. I look at their track record. I look to see if their values match with mine. And since I'm like always looking for diversity and investments where there is diversity, because I strongly believe that diversity brings better returns, I actually question the composition of their team, and I take into account if there is a diverse team behind that fund. So, I mean, that's the process that I do at selecting funds where I invest. When I select companies, I have two different processes. So the first is the companies that come to me through Shark Tank. And that's a very straightforward process where I can't control a lot of things. But if you have never seen Shark Tank, what happens is we are a panel of 5 investors where companies come and pitch to us in like maybe 5 or 7 minutes. They do a 5 or 7 minute initial pitch we try the product, we see them in action, and on the spot, after asking some questions, after doing some diligence in the spot, we decide if we invest or not. It's hard because it's hard to really know if they're gonna be a good investment in a 30-minute or 40-minute conversation, right? Um, but I I do think, and I am convinced that you can recognize talent and resilience and some of the values that I look for in an investment in that first meeting, no, in that first moment in a high pressure environment. Uh, but then after that, what happens is I do a very lengthy due diligence process. So after I say yes and I commit to a deal on the 10, I do a very lengthy due diligence process. In that process, a lot of these fall through, right?
For most
Yeah,
people, due diligence is something very far away. What do you mean when you do this due diligence? Do you get into their accountants? Do you get into with their lawyers? What are you doing exactly?
perfect. The first thing that I do is I actually um, s- I want to verify that everything that they said on that initial meeting is true. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So you told me that you sold $100,000 worth of this product, and then this, and that your EBITDA was this, and that your your numbers are whatever, and your track record, and who is involved, and who your customers are. Okay. Now I want to see proof that that's true. Where are your numbers? Where is your bank account, your bank statement? I want to talk to some of your clients, and I do like this initial uh, check to see if everything that they mentioned in that meeting is true. Then I do also two other types of checks. So a financial check, more in depth, looking at their financial statements, their bank accounts, all of that. And I do a legal check to see if all of their legal paperwork is in order, if their corporate structure is good, if they don't have any legal problems with anyone else, if they have the contracts with the clients that they're mentioning, if they have the paperwork backing their brand uh, uh, registry, and all of those kinds of things. And I also do a fiscal check if they are paying their taxes, if they're in good standing with the fiscal authority, if they don't have any lawsuits or any problems on that end. And finally, I do a labor check to see if they actually don't have any lawsuits from employees, if they're paying their employees uh, in the right way, if they don't have any liabilities on that end. So what I try to check is that if I become an investor in this building, in this project, I won't be buying into a liability. No, I won't be buying
Mhm.
into a lawsuit or a problem with the tax office or a problem with employees that I'm going to have to get out of later on. So that's basically what I mean when I say due diligence. I do tax due diligence, legal due diligence, um, labor due diligence, and the financial diligence, and that takes time, and that takes
And
uh,
who's doing that? Who's doing
and
that
that
for Claudio, for
costs.
you, and
Yeah. So first of all of the financial and the business diligence, I do it myself with an analyst that I have on my team. So it's only the two of us, and we do that part. And then I have outside lawyers who I pay for every diligence that I ask them to make. So what I do is I'm going to see if I invest in this company, what information do you need? And I have this guideline checklist of information that I ask them, and I send it all over to them and ask them to check all the paperwork. And I also have a tax lawyer that helps me check all of the tax stuff and the labor stuff. And these are contractors. I pay them for every deal that they check for me, and I trust their judgment, and I trust that they're going to protect my money and my funds in case I do decide to make an investment. And for the investments that I do outside of Shark Tank, I do it on the opposite way. I get a pitch deck first. I do a financial and business check first to see, okay, send me all of your information and I'll check it. Do a pitch to me and I'll go through it. I'll talk to some of the customers. I'll talk to some of their suppliers and whatever. And once I've done that, then I see the entrepreneurs. I see if their business, if what they're saying matches with what I've seen before and what I've heard. So I kind of have that double check. And then if I decide to go through with this diligence, I have an investment committee who meets. We meet and we get the pitch done to us. And if we decide to pursue the diligence, so we don't decide to invest on the spot, we decide to continue investigating more of this business. And if we decide to do that, and that's done with a majority vote, and if we decide to do that, then we do the due diligence the way I talked to you before about it. And if everything goes well, we then decide if we want to go through, after reviewing all the information, if we decide if we want to go through with the investment. The difference with the Shark Tank deals and the other deals is that on the Shark Tank deals, I commit to an investment before I see all the numbers, but then I have a chance to check if what they said is true. But I can't change the deal, I've already committed to a deal and evaluation.
So you make this due diligence process, which is very lengthy, and you go into super detail for startups. Do you do the same for the funds that you're investing in both cases? Do you still go into all these aspects?
Yeah. In terms of a fund, I really do it very easy. I just see that once I've made my decision, because I trust the partners who are running the fund, I understand the thesis that they're going to be focusing on, and I know that I somehow can bring value to the fund or to the fund's portfolio firms. I just check that the fiscal structure is well done. And in that case, it's not that really hard because most of the funds have a similar structure, because and the ones that I have, they have already some more institutional investors that require that structure to be created in order for them to be able to invest. So basically, for me, it's a cheap due diligence because I have someone else who is putting more money to it for me, like a Afore or a big family office. So I just hop in and hope for the best in that case.
So let's say that the diligence process is more checking who are the big investors in that fund before you, and if you trust
Exactly.
them or
So
not.
if I would do some Shark Tank investment, I would just hire Ale to do the due diligence.
So then over there is basically now, if we look at when you make as an LP an investment into the fund, and now what we are seeing, let's say in the market, in a couple of years back in 21, there was also, after that, there was a lot of new funds that were being creating in Latin America, first-time managers, a lot of money was funneled into companies with high valuations. The market was getting out of control. And now we're in a couple of years after, a lot of these funds have allocated their first round of capital, and they're expecting for the follow-ons. But a lot of them will have tough time raising their new funds. How are you basically now, as an LP, communicating and continuing? And what type of information are you expecting throughout the life cycle that you are in an LP? It's an illiquid investment that you're expecting to stay on top for a long time. But how are you engaged? How do you communicate? What do you expect in return that you're an LP? Is there something that you can share for this?
So it's a very interesting question that I've been talking about this with the managers of the funds and also with the founders. And overall, what I understand, and anyone can just cut me and correct me if you guys think I'm wrong, but the a VC has two sources of income: the management fee that they charge, and then the carry that they will get from um, the exit and yeah, of the success of investments that they make. So basically, you raise a fund, and your idea is to be as an LP and as a GP or a managing partner in the fund for about 7-8 years until you start seeing some exits. And in about the year number 10, you should be able to see your capital plus hopefully the return of your investment, which in an average, what I've seen it close to a 2.5x of your investment. So that's, I mean, you have the outliers, the ones that they invested early in Facebook or Google or here on Corner Shop, for example, which is probably the biggest success story of an exit as far as I know, from a very strong exit, but that's pretty much it. So as an LP, you get you get the request to invest in a new fund after about 6 or 7 years from the first fund running. So uh, I think LPs start questioning the fund if they haven't seen either a huge portfolio appraisal or a real return on their investment. So, given the market situation, it is something that the venture capitals are starting to consider how they should keep approaching, because if they haven't returned the capital, at least as of today, if the fund started 6, 7 years ago, it's very likely, given the situation, that in the next couple of 2 years, maybe there's going to be a big exit happening that will pay back the capital plus the, um, the carry for the partners, and also the investment that or the return on the investment that the LPs make. So I think for me as a small LP, it's not that much of a problem because I can still go on and wait another 2 years. Where I see that it becomes difficult, it's for the institutional investors, that they do have to answer to other LPs. I mean, I only have to answer to my wife somehow, so
But it can be a tough audience though. So it's like,
Yeah.
you better take care of your portfolio.
but if you have to answer to 10 uh, or to 20 different people on the board or so, it can be harder. So I think people who are getting into venture capital investment should know that there's this probability, given the cycles that we go through, that it's going to take a longer time to get the money back, and just let the market flow somehow.
No, what I would just add to that is that, for example, in my case, and as Claudio also talked about this, I try to also be involved in the fund. No, every one of these funds has their annual meetings, has their portfolio, has like meeting social gatherings with their portfolio companies, uh, has different events where you can interact with them, with their portfolio companies, with their other LPs, and with their partners. No, so I think a good thing to do as an LP is to be involved in all of these different events. Maybe not all of them, but to try to uh, keep in touch, not just like give your money away and that's it, wait 10 years till you get it back and hope that by the end you will get a good return, and that's it, no? But try to be involved during the life of the fund. Try to see, okay, be involved, see that you can help any of the portfolio companies, uh, understand their pipeline generation process, be involved in their annual meetings. And that way, you can kind of see how they work. No, it's like being a customer of, if you invest in a restaurant, right? You go and you see, okay, you bring your friends, you check how they're doing, you see their sales, you go to their annual reports or their annual meetings, and you keep involved, right? And when this restaurant wants to open up a new location, then you know what they've been doing. You've been part of that process, and you can
Yeah.
kind of decide, okay, I liked what they did. I liked how they handled this and this bad time or not. And then that gives you the confidence to see, okay, you'll invest again if they ever raise another fund or they open a new location or not. And I think that's very valuable. And that's something that we have to keep in mind during when we do these investments.
And on this, you mentioned about these events that you're going and gathering, and both of you are very active, on socially, and you have a very, widely known brands, especially in the ecosystem of Latin America. But these events that you were talking about, Ale, over there, I have to ask: are these really worth your time, or is these only a way for rich people to tap their shoulders so that they can show up and do, a way that they being there? Because one of the things that was very interesting last month, one of the wealthiest men in Finland called Björn Wahlroos, who is the former chairman of Nordea, one of the biggest banks of the Nordics, basically said that the biggest fear of the new technology era for wealthy people is that they will start little by little losing money and thus their relevance in the game. And therefore, they don't get these sexy invitations in the nice dinner and cocktail parties where you can go and put your social status into a higher level. So are these really, useful events overall, or are these a way for people to increase their social status?
I think it can be both, right? You and some of these events, you can totally see right through it that they're only events for like fundraising or just like to see who has the best watch or the biggest car or whatever. No, but you have to be able to see which ones matter. For example, the ones that I attend are the ones that are where I can meet the portfolio companies, to the founders. That's the one where I see value because I learn from them. I see how they're doing from them, not only from the fund that is telling me, oh, this company is doing great. It's going to raise another the round and we're making so much money. It's already valued at whatever. No, I try to go and talk to them, see what their challenges are, and also, so it's my way of connecting to the actual people that I am investing in, the companies that I am investing in. So I think you have to be able to detect those types of events. I think that's the ones that I intend.
Yeah. How about for you, Claudio? Are you becoming better at filtering the ones that are only for, show off or
Sure.
actual have
I,
use?
I think in my case, I might come off as antisocial because I don't actually go to pretty much any
Look at
events.
that.
I maybe go to 2 events a year because, well, this is something personal. I hate going late to bed. So it just disrupts my whole morning routine, my training, my time with family, so my reading time. So it's just something very strict. So when I do go to some events, I try to make it very specific who I want to meet, what I want to have an agenda, who I'm meeting.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, I also believe it depends on the type of brand that you're building for yourself. And there is no correct answer on what type of brand you should have. I see, for example, Ale has built an amazing brand for herself, and she has such a wide audience that for someone to be able to have 15 minutes of Ale's time, it takes a lot of effort and being persistent on knocking on Alice's door until she has like time to get a meeting for 15 minutes or 30 minutes to have a one-on-one. So just if I would be a founder and I wanted to get Alice feedback and knowledge, what I would have to do is I just like see her social network and also see when she's going to be a speaker at a big event, because that's where I get the most value of Ale with celebrity right now. On the other hand, for me, I try to just get 30-minute meetings with the founders that I have in my portfolio, so to say, help them out and have one-on-ones, because I believe that's where I can add the most value off, because I don't have either such a big brand, and also uh, maybe my expertise is more on a one-to-one basis than going and giving a speech to founders that I don't have around 20 or 30 employees, so it's a big event, you know.
I've seen you both, not only Ale, which she puts a lot of work and effort into it, but Claudia, I've seen you too working on your personal brand, and I wanted to know, like, what do you think is the importance of having this personal brand? Because you clearly both think it's important, and you're both spending time on it. So, what do you think?
For me, it's just a matter of trying to get out as a very early stage investor, angel investor, uh, to be able to have more of a deal flow coming to me, and allow me to have that one-on-one with founders that I think can be the ones where I invest, and have the credibility so that those founders will give me the chance to work with them 5, 6 months to see how they execute and how we match together. Because what would happen before I started trying to uh, work on my brand, as founders would come to me, they would say, "Hey, we're raising around, we'll raise $1 million at an 8 million cap with a save, like 20 discount." And it would sound very, very nice. And I would ask them, "Okay, when do I have to deposit?" And they would be like, "Probably next week, you know?" So it would be a thing of kind of FOMO, because I might lose the deal. But also I would have very little information besides the deck and our call. So that was the reason why I started to try to just get a brand out for myself and be able to filter better where I want to invest.
Yeah. For me, I was kind of forced into it. I didn't do any of this before I was on Shark Tank. Um, and when I got on Shark Tank, I kind of saw it as a good opportunity to make good content that I thought was missing out there, and it became kind of part of my job, no, my day-to-day job. Also, because okay, so for two objectives: one, better deals, like what Claudio said, I can get uh if people know me, if people see my content out there, the types of investments that I make, the value that I can bring, I will get better deals, more earlier deals, with better conditions maybe than others, and I will get access to put in money in some of the most interesting projects out there, which is not easy, because most of the really, really good deals out there, they reserve the initial capital allocation for people that can actually bring them more to the table than just money. So I'm trying to build my brand in that regard. And also, just as an entrepreneur, to help my company and my companies where I invest. No, I try to be um, another positive thing about me becoming your investor. No, that I will become an advocate as well for your brand. So what I try to do in some of my contents as well is promote the companies that I invest in, help them in that way, especially the really early stage companies that maybe don't have a lot of capital to promote their projects, their products, their services. I kind of throw that in the deal with them. No, uh, I'll be as invested as you to want this deal to or this company to be successful, and so I'll do my part. And part of doing that is the content that I can create and that I can publish about the brands that I work with or that I invest. So I kind of do it for that reason too, and for my personal company, right? My in the end, I'm in the services. I'm in the service industry. I'm in the direct to consumer industry, and I want to obviously get my company's name out there as well, and have that benefit go all the way to my actual day job.
And here, if we focus a little bit on basically that you're emphasizing the quality of the deal flow, it's going to be super important. Everybody all around the world talks about it quite a bit. But then if you look at another big concern that a lot of people are giving this reason why there is not enough capital in Latin American technology companies is because there's a lack of exits. So now when you are identifying these very valuable companies or you want to get the best deal flow for you, are you seeing that there is enough good quality companies? Because now what happens is that some of the funds that are in the game, they're not going to be able to raise fund number two, or if they have now fund number two, they're not going to go to the three. It's going to be a tough time to be a fund right now as well if you invested in the upcycle. What are you basically seeing? Are there enough good quality companies for you to be an LP and then on the side be an angel investor? If we now focus let's only on Mexico, because what another ad on from for Mexico is for the audience is that Mexico is one of the greatest hubs in terms of technology, but a lot of the entrepreneurs here are outside of Mexico. So then I'm not sure even, is there a single one Mexican founder who has created a unicorn? So this is a little bit context into this. And so what are you seeing on these regards about the good quality companies in Mexico? Are there enough for you to be an LP and at the same time an angel investor investing in Mexican technology startups?
I think in early stage investing, in early stage companies, there is plenty of companies to invest in. I've had to say no to some of these companies that I think are very interesting and will have a great future, but I just can't invest in everything. So I'm having to turn down some of the invest as an angel investor. Okay,
Yeah.
in super early stage. In that regard. So I think that for sure, as an LP, I'll let Claudio also take a stab at the question.
Yeah, well, as an angel, I agree. There are plenty of very good companies that can make it big. But as an LP, I have some questions and I've been asking myself this for a couple of months right now. If there, uh, if the game should change, trying to combine a little bit of the venture capital philosophy of just not a home run, but a grand slam, that you're looking for, versus just having also complementing it by some like hits, like in baseball, not trying to go for the home run. Because when you see, and I'll put the example of Kavak, which is an amazing company, and what they've done is great. But then just my question rises, and this is just personal, is okay. So here is a company that's has a bigger valuation than companies like Cemix, for example, or other like old school, more classic ventures in Mexico that have been around for quite some time. And my question is not if the value is probably correct, but if people, once a company goes public will be willing to buy it at that cost, and if the market is big enough for that. So if that doesn't happen, um, how does the investment look for the venture and for us as LPs? Uh, and if your return depends on that, it can be maybe risky or riskier, because you found this amazing company like Kabak who are building great things, who have something very big. But once you have to get it out there to an IPO level, question is if the market will be ready for them at the price that you think it's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have a real challenge with the valuations that were invested at in the past, I don't know, 5 years or three years. And I think that will be a challenge, especially for these rounds right now. I think it's getting better now. But during the last couple of years, companies have had a really hard time raising money because they're not willing to reevaluate uh, uh, their companies, and they're still thinking that the valuations that were done, or the rounds that were raised, that those valuations are still, how do I say, like real, right? So either we wait it out a little bit longer and see how they're performing, or we start investing at uh, the current uh, valuations of the companies, and understand that we can take a step back and then work at it and still have a good return in the fund, in the company, whatever. But I think this is one of the most complex things that are happening right now, the Mexican or Latam ecosystem, right? Uh, and the other thing that I wanted to add, Eric, is that I think there is a concentration of the types of companies that are getting the funding. So, for example, I think we are all chasing down the same few companies, and we're not opening ourselves up to other opportunities that could also be great, uh, re- uh, great companies that can give you a great return, and the grand slams that Claudio was talking about. And I think we've been in the ecosystem in Mexico. We've been very narrow minded, and that has taken a toll on the returns and on the fund allocations and on the ability to raise more capital.
And I think this is a very critical point to mention. It's that you brought this up is because there are a big difference in terms of the funding landscape in Latin America overall versus, let's say, the global north, the more developed countries, more developed ecosystems. Is that if you even have a $500,000 round, $1 million round, you're going to have a lot more angels and VCs, a lot of larger cap tables. Versus in Europe, for instance, there's going to be one investor who wants to take the whole pot of $500,000, who wants the whole thing. So, for you as an LP, are you getting information? Are you seeing this? Do you have very clear portfolio views that are you being exposed by you want to diversify into multiple funds that basically scatter the cash as many companies as possible? Are you seeing that your fund or your LP are following the herd and investing in the same companies? How well are you now investigating your own portfolio as an LP? That are you seeing this as a problem?
Yeah. So definitely, I think I invest personally as an angel. I invest in very different companies, so I don't see it as much. But for example, the funds where I invest in, I do see that there's a lot of redundancy on the deals that I've invested in, um, or that the big funds, not the ones that I'm investing in, but the big funds, or the most well-known funds, they're all kind of getting a piece of the same pies. I don't know if that's accurate, Claudio. What would you say?
And Claudio, for you,
Yeah.
you had like 7 funds where you're an LP, right? Is that correct? 7,
Yeah, I think 6 or 7, but
or 6 or
yeah.
7.
Well, just adding on what we were talking about just before, I think there's also something very interesting happening right now where you have a clash of interests happening. If you're a company that did a Series B and you raised, I don't know, $150 million, and your unit economics are strong enough, you still have money in the bank, you're almost breaking even, let's say, or you did break even. You as the founder of the company don't see the need of, with the times as they are, uh, start looking for a new round to keep growing. You rather just stabilize the company, make it profitable, and keep waiting until the time comes when you can raise a bigger round and a bigger valuation to just with a more certain aim grow. On the other hand, the VC is going to start pressuring because they want the return. They want another round so they can exit and pay back the LPs. So I think that friction is going to be seen in the next couple of months or even 2 years. And just the other thing that we were talking about the diversification, what I think is happening with the bigger funds is that when they created their investment thesis, they focused on very specific metrics. Let's say I'm a Series A fund, and what I want to see as a traction is $1 million of ARR. So right now with the situation, there are a lot of companies that don't reach that milestone, but have other strong unit economics. But the company will still take time, maybe a year to get to that milestone. And when the managing partner of VC and the team see this company, they can't invest because their thesis says that they need to at least see $1 million of ARR, for example. So um, the investment committee is not going to be as flexible maybe as them on what company they should invest. And then there's also something interesting happening when you see the deal flow that's coming to the Series A or bridge Series A type of rounds. Since there are not a lot of there's not a lot of money flowing in, the big funds are concentrating those deals, and they can cherry pick what they want, and they can take their time as well somehow. So it's very interesting what the entrepreneur has to do to be able to raise that round.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And overall, if we take a look now from here, is that people are hyping Latin America a lot. Everybody's talking about it. There's this momentum coming in, no matter that there has been a little bit less liquidity compared to 21 in Latin America. Everybody's just super bullish and optimistic, especially with people in Latin America. But if we now take a look on some of the risks that you see in Latin American technology ecosystem, outside of the fact that everybody, hey, there's lack of exits, blah, 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 there's not going to be enough liquidity because of that. What are you seeing, let's say, some of structural risks from Mexico down all the way to Ushuaia in Latin America? What are you seeing some of the main risks that has to be addressed openly in order to make the ecosystem grow and make a better playing field for companies to operate? Any thoughts on this?
I think the not it might not be a risk, but it's an opportunity. Um, you would want to see more exits, and it doesn't matter if it's a unicorn exit, but a $500 million exit, where founders, early stage investors, and friends and family get back their money plus some. That will allow those people to put more money into the ecosystem because that's how they made their money. and they have expertise in what worked and what not on one side. On the other side, it will also help uh, companies, more traditional companies, to start looking to the startups that are building this amazing technology for uh, their company to work with, and give them an easier chance to be a supplier or to work with, or even in some cases, just to challenge them and compete with them and see them as a threat that they have to take a close look or even invest in, so they don't become like the blockbuster of the movies and entertainment. So I really hope that that starts happening, because what I've talked with people from the US, from Asia, that are coming to Mexico or in Latin America to build a company, what they tell me is that, hey, I've seen how this movie plays out. What you were seeing in Mexico, that's what happened maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago in our continent and in our country. So I know how it's going to work out here, and it's just a matter of time.
But then this is like overall, like, do you have something on this? Is that are there something else that you're seeing as a risk? This is a very valuable point that you're mentioning, and as you mentioned, it provides an opportunity to capitalize on this when we are starting to get those exits. But like before we get into that level, are you seeing some risks that can be fundamental in the market? For instance, one of the things that we have witnessed is that still right now, what comes into the expectations of the entrepreneurs in Latin America and the valuations that they're now being educated by fund managers to go more in the American model. They're trying to push the valuations higher up with no any reason underneath. And the simple reality is that why a lot of investors, especially outside of Latin America, when they come to the region, is that the prices of the company should be a lot lower. When you look at the risks are just a lot higher, that risk is going to cost some money in terms of the valuation that you have. And then overall is that a lot of the fintech boom that is happening, even though there is a great opportunity to scale, but a lot of those companies are local and regional. They can make nice money there. They can become 50 to 100 million companies. But this risk that, let's say, we are also experiencing is that there is this outrageous valuations that are being still asked in this market by the companies. Not necessarily even raised a high valuation in 21. They're just recently founded companies, and right at the gate are still asking way too much in our. So what are you seeing this, and Claudio, for instance, as a risk? Because this, in my opinion, prohibits more capital to be funneled into Latin America. Is that they're going to say, hell no. Like the investors in Europe, Middle East, Asia, they're going to look and go, well, why should I put any penny in this? That it's just, I can invest in a company in Europe and make more money. And then when we look at some of the success cases that are happening, the big success cases in Latin America, for instance, Rappi, if you were at a pre-seed investor or seed and a founder, you join on Series A and beyond, a tough time. You're seeing your numbers in red. So this is a little bit of context that are you seeing something similar as a risk that the market is still facing? Because it's so much hype that is going to be needed in order to bring the ecosystem to the level that, hey, it's more stable. But beneath the hype, you need to have something, under the hood, you need to have an engine that is rock solid.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I agree, Eric. But I have been seeing entrepreneurs and founders and managers that are right now more focused on having like the best engine out there, and
Okay.
and really focused on making that engine work before going to raise another round. So I think or some of the companies in Mexico have really paused and have paused their fundraising activities, have bootstrapped their companies, and have focused on profitability. And I think that's good because they're being more realistic. And I think some of the times it has happened because the fundraising game was getting hard for them and for companies like them. They were going out there asking for valuations that were like not being like taken seriously, or not getting funded at the right valuation, and they decided to pause and rethink and restructure and change their approach. And I've seen these on some of the biggest companies out there in Mexico, no?
Mhm.
Uh, some of the companies like Rappi, like and I mean the parts in Mexico, no, Corner Shop, what else, like Mercado Libre, Kavak is trying to do that, no? Uh, what else? Pizza, no? These
Yeah.
unicorns, the unicorns in Mexico. I've seen that they have at least the founders. Maybe they're not there yet, but they're taking more seriously the fact that they need to have something under the hood to be able to raise the money that they want at the
And this is
foundation.
important because it's at the end of the day, also what have been happening the past couple of years is as a founder in Latin America, if you can raise a $500,000, okay, in the US or in Europe, that is not going to go far. You're going to burn that in a matter of months, super quick. But if you're, a Chilean, Bolivian, Peruvian, Ecuadorian founder, nevertheless living in Argentina, if you raise $500,000 and you get a little bit of access to dollars, with $1,500, you live very, very comfortable life. So then it's like you can just, as a founder, go into founder events and tap yourself in the shoulder and say, "Hey, I'm a cool founder." And this is what we also see happening in the past couple of years. Entrepreneurship has become such a cool thing. It's so sexy that a lot of people have not really, really focused on developing the engine. They have been polishing up the outlier of that car or that vehicle. But luckily, like this is like it's starting to change, Ale, what you're mentioning. I think this is like a critical thing that needs to happen all around the world, but especially in Latin America, because once they raise the money, we see this big fundamental problem. Because if you raise a little bit of cash, you can, with that little cash, you can actually live rather comfortably. So, and if you raise that from a foreign investor, they're going to just, well, they're not burning any money, but the founder is just going to founder events all around Latin America and living the life, but not really building the engine, if that makes sense.
Yeah. For me, it's interesting because you see that happening in the ecosystem where they race around, they can live very comfortable with the money that they get, keep shining the outside of the car, make it pretty, and just have this narrative on social network of what they're creating, what this huge thing is gonna be, create the hype, and just justify why they just can buy expensive sneakers, because they're entrepreneurs. And and they're not focusing on the fundamentals. Okay, let's say I'm a fintech and I think people need credit cards because uh, a lot of people here in Latin America don't have access to credit cards, which is great. So I start burning not that much money, but just giving away credit cards for free. And my metric is I have 3 million, 4 million credit cards that people have of my brand. Yeah, but how many people are actually using it? So
Right.
just removing those vanity metrics that allows you to be on a podcast, allows you to be on a founders event and show off your new sneakers and your new jacket. That I think that's what's going to have to be removed. And like Warren Buffett says, once the tide goes down, you see who was swimming naked.
I agree. And it's something that's very, like say, it's been fascinating for us to learn. And personally, for me, is when we look at the data on social media usage in America is one of the highest. And what this is also meaning is that people are spending so much time on social media. I see a lot of entrepreneurs and people working in startups. They have over 10,000, 20,000 followers on Instagram, for instance. And this is a very different game that, like, compared to Europe or in the US, they have been able to create a very nice social brand. And in some occasions, the entrepreneurs are able to get a little side money from their social media presence. So then that they raise $500,000, they're living already comfortably, they buy those nice shoes, and then they just hike up their social media following. So then they keep this illusion up that they're making things poppin'. So these are some of the concerns that we have now witnessed, and I'm happy to see that the market has gone down and going towards a brink of a collapse. Not that bad. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's a healthy correction that is taking place because we need to be able to build businesses that are fundamentally solid and can generate things, not only hype. And this is a good momentum that is taking on to Latin America. And this is why I'm like excited to see is that you keep investing in it, because that's where I am optimistic with Bautista uh, specifically, is because now people are focusing on building the engine. But on a final thing that I would like to ask for you is that Mexico, you went to Tec Monterrey, but then you did your MBAs outside. I can see that. Is that a Harvard sign that you have Ale there in the back? Looks very nice. Congrats on that. It looks very, very cool. But a lot of people all around Latin America. But if we now focus on Mexico, I still like who has that? Especially they come from, great families, have a better financial situation or better scores, they go and study still in the US or they go into foreign schools. What is going on in terms of the education system in Mexico for higher education, for STEM subjects? Are we going to see deep tech companies coming from Mexico? Are we going to see people choosing and opting to and study their MBAs in, for instance, Tec Monterrey, folks staying in the country rather than going for the prestigious Harvard, Stanford, MIT, or going to Spain, like where you went, Claudio? What are you seeing that when this transition can?
Yeah, of course. No, I think, and what I was gonna say before in your other question, that what are the challenges that entrepreneurs are facing in Mexico or in Latin America? One of the things that I was gonna say is talent acquisition, right? Having the right talent for the challenges that you're gonna be facing in your company. And I think that's still a concern. I think we'll still need to develop that talent, especially in tech or in STEM, whatever. But we still are short of the talent needed to make really that leap forward. And there's a lot of things being done, especially with the opportunities of the the entrepreneurial opportunities and the opportunities with nearshoring in Mexico and all of that. And there for sure are companies and universities trying to tackle that problem. But I think that we are still lacking in that sense in Mexico. And we are still in a deficit of talent, of the talent needed to make this to meet the need of the companies that are being developed in
Yeah.
Mexico, either by Mexicans or by people coming to start a business in Mexico. So I think that's a really big challenge, and we are still gonna need some time to be able to have a good talent development pool here in Mexico.
One thing I wanted to ask
Yeah, go ahead.
before we move forward is you mentioned nearshoring, and actually that's a very talked about topic. Are you guys seeing the effects of the nearshoring happening? We've seen it happening in Argentina, but you are guys both in Mexico, which is super close to the US. Are you seeing it influencing anything, or are startups actually taking advantage of it over there?
Yes, for sure. I think it's still early. I think we're gonna see more of it in the coming years. But there's a lot of money flowing in Mexico, looking to really like take advantage of this opportunity that we had. I think nurturing is something that we've always have very much in mind in Mexico, but it's a lot more present now. But I also see very good startups, and we have a unicorn in that logistics space now, Ports, that is doing a great job at that. And but uh, the I think the most important challenge that we have to take advantage of the nearshoring opportunity is that we won't have the talent necessary in Mexico to deal with that, to deal with what comes is coming, right? We will need to import talent to deal with all of the opportunities that will be.
Yeah, but I agree. In terms of, I think the best thing that can happen to Mexico is what I was saying at the beginning, that there's diversity of people involved, and I'm not just saying one man or whatever. It's just what you want to see in an ecosystem that thrives is that the person that gets the job done is the person that has the most chances of making it a success. So just an example, when my dad got diagnosed with cancer, what I wanted is for him to be treated by the best doctor possible. It didn't matter if it was a female or a man or like Mexican or Argentinian, whoever. That still needs to happen in Mexico and Latin America, where you see people having equality of opportunity, access to those opportunities. And it doesn't matter if they have an MBA or if they went to either school. You just want to see the most capable people having the access to those opportunities. And I think by the ecosystem, how it's getting constructed and funds happening like that, they're investing in gender equality, for example, that's going to help a lot. But it's going to take time to be something that we start seeing not as a must, but something that's natural that starts happening, you know. And at the end, I just believe that I don't know, having like personalities like Ale or people in Shark Tank that have diverse backgrounds, way of thinking, that is it inspires others to know that they can also make it, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In higher education, I think what you were talking about, the MBAs and the people that have access to this higher education and the future founders and CEOs of startups in Mexico, I think we are seeing more people stay in Mexico because the opportunities to to really have a good return on your work, on your investment, on your time is getting better. So more people are saying, no, I'm
Yeah.
not going to go somewhere else, do my MBA and lose 2 years of developing of time that I can have developing my company in Mexico, in Latam, and taking advantage of the current trends and ecosystem in Mexico. I've been seeing that a little bit more often, where people are staying more and becoming entrepreneurs, developing their business, and maybe doing an MBA in Mexico instead of just going out and going to those consulting jobs or banking jobs that people were taking maybe 5 years ago
Yeah.
or more.
Absolutely. And as a final sentence, I would like to ask from both of you is why sun keeps shining in Mexico, meaning that why people should come to Mexico and make things happen in Mexico. One sentence, one liner. Claudio, you want to start?
Oh, it's
Easy one.
it's a hard one.
Super easy on the spot.
You should come to Mexico, Latam, because that's where the opportunity of the next big thing is going to happen.
I like it. Alejandra, what's your one-liner to the world from, as Claudia said, one of the new celebrities, the most known personas of Mexico?
I think first of all, Mexicans, we are we have a great culture. We're great people. You will for sure find a very warm country that is very open to receiving foreigners and people that come. And it's a country where we historically always accepted talents and other places and embrace that talent. And for sure, it's a land of opportunities. There's a lot still of low hanging fruit to be grabbed in Mexico, and it's a fun place to do it as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks so much, Alejandra and Claudia, for participating today. It was a pleasure to have you in the show.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
both.